Kim Johnson was appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom as the Director of California Department of Social Services in July of 2019. She has over 20 years of experience working in various family support and children's programs, focusing on social justice, equity, and poverty disruption in both community-based organizations and in governments. Please help me welcome Kim Johnson.
Thank you so much, Elena, and thank you, Catalyst California, for the invitation to participate. It's actually my favorite thing to do is to listen, not talk, and I just want to really appreciate the opportunity to have listened to that panel before me, almost call out to action about working with community, trusting community in the solutions that we are working on together. Just everything in that conversation just absolutely resonated with me. So I appreciate the partnership and the focus on really engaging with community, shifting power to community in the how we do business. And let me just appreciate again everyone on this convening and the water cooler for the work that you do each and every day in communities and working with children and families. I am grateful to serve as the Director of Social Services and serve under this governor where there has been just significant commitment and investment in partnership with the legislature in so many ways that I know several speakers have spoken to already this afternoon. But I do want to highlight some of those in terms of where we are and what we've done together, and also where we're going and how we can continue to see what we have been able to do to date. Over the last 4 years, total funding for California Health and Human Services programs and services have grown by over 45%. This is unprecedented investment in our health and human services programs that absolutely advances our ability to improve the lives of all Californians. And I will just again say that the safety net in California is like no other across the country, and it is absolutely working to disrupt poverty by providing that housing, cash assistance, food and health benefits, access to childcare and early learning, and much, much more. And so those investments that I speak to and the theme of this convening focused on belonging and community equity and addressing those is absolutely first and foremost in our mind across the Health and Human Services Agency and within the Department of Social Services, focusing on supporting those who need it most. Again, lots of conversation about how we're healing together through the pandemic. And again, certainly the pandemic heightened even more for us the great inequities and disparities and disproportionality that exist across communities in California. And so those investments are targeted in that space with themes like keeping families together. How are we investing in keeping families together? And so that's inclusive of things like the investments we've made around supporting and increasing the cash assistance support of our CalWorks grants. We've had 2 grants, which essentially brings the levels for a family of 3 in a high-cost county from $925 a month to $1,130 a month. And I also acknowledge there's more work for us to continue to do there to ensure that the resources we're providing with the supportive services really do disrupt poverty, but we're also providing funding to expand the California Food Assistance Program to additional income eligible Californians, regardless of citizenship or immigration status. Again, a lot of investment around keeping families together with family finding and engagement and support in our child welfare system, prevention of entering into our child welfare system, historic investments addressing housing and homelessness, and so much more. I also want to highlight some of the speakers before me also highlighted this, just the landscape change across the childcare and development and early learning field, where we have the Child Care Providers United, very different landscape with the inclusion of their voice and participation and how these investments are directed to provide economic relief to the workforce, to look at health and retirement benefits, rate increases. And we also, of course, through the budget have increased access to childcare subsidies by 36,000 slots in just the alternative payment program alone. And again, I just want to say, having been in this field for quite some time now, it's really unheard of the amount of increases we've had, not only in our subsidy program. You heard the Department of Education speak earlier to the universal preschool and transitional kindergarten investments. Really, we are talking about a much greater access. And again, for us, primarily for households that are low income, to really have a greater chance and opportunity to move forward. And so just again, tremendously grateful for investments in that space. $35 million total funds in our emergency child care bridge program, which is about, again, supporting that connection for the children to be with their kin and family, and making sure child care access is not a barrier to being able to say yes when that call comes to support that child. We also, of course, have done a lot in terms of the infrastructure building, not only with actual facilities dollars, repair and renovation, and in new facilities dollars, but also within the infrastructure of local child care resource and referral programs, alternative payment programs, and so much more. So I don't have enough time to actually identify all the investments, but it has been just tremendous. And I want to say again, as we take our learnings from the pandemic and the things that we've done together, how we get to many of these investments is through engaging with you, engaging with community, hearing from you on the ground, what the experience is, where we need to do more. But again, equity is driving these conversations. And I want to make sure everyone here also has seen and is aware of the governor's executive order that he announced in September of this year related to that, really acknowledging California as the largest and most diverse state in the nation, shaped by the contributions of all of its residents, including California Native Americans, communities of color, immigrants, descendants of immigrants, who call our Golden State home, and welcomes all people to pursue bold dreams and renews California's dream for every new generation. And there's so much happening across our country, across the world in space. And I am grateful, as I've been out traveling a little bit more than I had in the last couple of years, to call California home, to be at a place where our governor is committed to this goal, that we are actually being directed. Again, grateful in the Department of Social Services, we've had a lot of space and been working on utilizing our own power to look at our policies through a racial equity lens, looking at our regulations packages, our new programs, not only about designing new and what more we can be doing new, but also going back to our regulatory and statutory frameworks to make sure we are undoing things that don't lead us to this goal of equity. And so grateful that our governor has, again, further directed state government across the board to get us to a place where we are very focused on addressing the unequal starting points, and that we are driving equal outcomes so that we're working towards this. And so again, glad to be part of that. How it shows up at social services, are welcoming new Californians in a number of ways, that we're doing additional immigrant integration efforts for children and families, supporting new arrivals from Afghanistan and Ukraine, and welcoming newcomers on our border. New investments for tribes, another specific where we work government to government in our relationships and engagement and consultation with tribal leaders to understand how we can best support tribal communities. And we're doing a lot in this space, especially in that same goal of upholding the Indian Child Welfare Act and keeping Native children with Native community. But also, again, as we work to disrupt poverty more broadly and strengthen prevention and early intervention services across the board. Home visiting, I just heard protective factors in that last panel, and strength-based services. We are a voluntary home visiting program in our CalWorks program, where we're increasing the ability of our home visitors to immediately address any additional needs that they're seeing. Maybe the refrigerator needs repair, and that's going to be a game changer, or car repair. The immediate needs are being addressed. Those concrete supports are being addressed to support our families and disrupt poverty. And of course, we're also just thrilled to be able to do things like administer and support the Guaranteed Income Pilot Project, a $35 million investment over the next 4 years that has an unconditional attachment to that cash support. And we're interested in learning about this pilot, not only from how then families are further able to get out of poverty through the additional supports, but also how we can learn it from it in terms of the safety net programs that we currently administer and go forward. So again, healthcare access, I heard again, the Department of Education mentioned community schools. We are really thinking about integration. When we talk about whole child, whole family, we're saying, yes, we do have fund sources that come from the federal government that we have in the state government. But how are we intentionally integrating and putting these components together in the ways that truly meet the needs of children and families across our state? And that's exactly what I think our call to action is to all of the earlier conversations, and that we are out in community, working with community on those solutions. We again have a master plan. It was a 10-year master plan. I want to remind people of that. And many of the investments and spaces that we've talked about actually have been part of that action plan, and we do have more space to go. But it's around, again, really integrating these services of what we think really makes the difference at the end of the day. And that's what we're hearing from our families. I always appreciate the days and opportunities I have to engage directly with our program participants, and having done that recently, just really recognizing there's more work we need to do to streamline application processes. We have a project called the Verification Hub, where once you are enrolled on the program, you won't have to go to separate caseworkers and eligibility workers to maintain that access to that critical support, that food support, that cash support, that we can do that and share that information more broadly to the parties who need it. And again, want to acknowledge that through all of it, yes, children and families and community first. And we also, within the early childhood and childcare and development workforce, have more to do, and we are doing that in real time right now with our Child Care Providers United and other partners and stakeholders to identify where we need to go further in terms of investing in the workforce, and just really grateful for the various recruitment incentives we've been putting forward, training and professional development, competencies, et cetera, and a lot more in that space. And so my other call to action, and I think our opportunity in California, is that we have to celebrate the tremendous success that we've had, that we are currently in the moment of, at the same time, healing. We are recognizing what has worked in terms of getting to the ability to make investments that we have. Part of that is at the federal level, and we have to continue to ensure that we're getting those resources that help and allow us and accelerate our ability to invest even more greatly across communities. But just want to acknowledge that it's been a tremendous opportunity and a tremendous privilege to serve in this capacity at this moment. And I want to again both call on you all to join, and we'll do more of what we know works, and engage with us. And I think, again, to the earlier panel, making sure we're doing that in a way that's authentic and providing everyone who's participating a full seat at the table. That's about, again, sharing that power and giving that power back to community. Thank you for what you do. We are partners with you in this effort. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you this afternoon. More to do together. Thanks so much.